Well, welcome everyone. Happy New Year. My name is Cheryl Owen, and I'm out of New York City, so I'm pretty sure the people in California have much better weather than we do here. And I work as a sustainability manager for an architecture firm. We have amazing content here available for you as part of our DLE Culture Chat. So, just so that everyone's on the same page about what the DLE Culture Chat is, it is a business oriented open forum that examines changes and challenges in today's workplace. In 60 minutes, we aim to engage multiple perspectives through a moderated format that promotes respectful conversations with actionable takeaways, and it is designed for interactivity. The program unites accomplished professionals from various backgrounds, and the topics we cover are extensive and relevant. We've examined virtual collaboration, mentorship, workplace inclusiveness, career pivots, dealing with toxic culture, and we're going to focus on balancing your 2021 goals. So, without further ado, I would love to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Evan Hickok. He is the Engineering Operations Manager at General Dynamics Mission Systems in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and the co author of the GDMS Leadership Expectations. He graduated from University of Massachusetts Amherst with a degree in mechanical engineering. In addition to being an engineer, he is also a program manager with a proven capability of process and system design, team building, coaching, self development, and is a father of two. So, without any further ado, super excited for this content. It is so relevant, it is needed, and hopefully, it's going to help you gear up for your 2021 goals. Evan?
Thank you, Cheryl. Nice to see you all today. I know many of you, and I appreciate your time today. So here's what we're going to walk through. We're going to talk about finding your why, right? This is a North Star, right? Yogi Berra says, if you don't know where you're going, you might not get there, right? So you got to figure this thing out that becomes the context for the rest of your goals. Then we'll give you some tools for setting goals and how to measure progress. We'll have some breakout sessions for about 20 minutes. Come back for a Q&A. So I want to start off by saying that this is not an easy thing to do. The DLE was working on programming, and actually Crystal Blake thought of me for this. This is something I thought I knew how to do. But Richard Feynman, you know Richard Feynman, he won the Nobel Prize for physics in 1965. If you don't know him, you got to find him on YouTube. He's got a lot of great stuff out there, Richard Feynman. So one of the things he says is, if you want to check your understanding on a topic, give an introductory lecture on it. So I'll say, as long as I've been doing this in my professional, my personal life, I learned a lot preparing for this presentation. I'd like to thank Linda for the opportunity, Crystal for thinking of me, and I implore you all to dig deep into this. It'll feel hard at first, but I hope this intellectual framework can be useful in setting your goals. So in 2008, I had an opportunity to work in Perth, Australia for 3 months. It was amazing. It was perfect timing to have insomnia, because you can work a 14-hour day and still have plenty of time to explore. So every Friday there was an art opening, usually with free wine and snacks, and I'd go with friends. And there was one installation of historical photos, and I saw this one. It's a photo by David Burnett. He was the only Western journalist in Iran during the 44-day bloodless revolution there, which he documented. This particular photograph is of the Ayatollah Khomeini, who's using a girls' school as the headquarters for his revolution. He's here sitting in a corner sipping tea. There's an attendant here looking into the camera, another guard here outside the window looking into the camera. There's thousands of people outside. Now, I don't know much about the bloodless revolution, but when I saw this photograph, all I could think of was the photographer. He's been preparing his whole life for this moment, right? He's got his camera, he's got the skills to use it. He's got a sense of politics and of history, and he's in the room, and he gets the shot. That's me in the room. I don't get the shot, right? I've not been working my whole life for this. It's a little bit like being like the star player. You know, the base is loaded, 2 outs, the team's down by 3, right? Again, if that's me at the plate, it's my worst nightmare. It's the fans' worst nightmare, because I haven't been working my whole life for that moment, right? So what am I working for? If you work hard, you get lucky like this, right? Opportunities will fall into your lap. You have an opportunity to seize them. but you have to have been working hard to actually be able to seize that. So the first step here, I believe, right, is to find your why. I'll requote that Yogi Berra quote. He says, if you don't know where you're going, you might not get there. So you got to find that why. This is something that gives you purpose. It becomes your context for all of your decisions. The North Star is not something you ever actually reach, right? This is the box you never check. This is the thing you're striving to do every day. So we'll talk about that, and I'll show you mine. So then you build some objectives that will move you towards that goal, things that are measurable, things that you'll track progress, right? You'll reflect. And then I'll show you a simple tool that I use to help me understand how I am feeling and what adjustments I need to make along the way. And one of the things I want to talk about a bit is that I think that having a balanced life, the way we talk about it, like balancing every day, I think it's actually mythical. And the thing is, you need to not sacrifice in one area for too long. And so we'll show you kind of how I do this with reflection. So let me start with the North Star. Here's my North Star. Be a great dad, right? This is not a career goal. My career goal is nested underneath this as a value, right? My goal is to be a great dad. So this is decomposed into some values. Now, these are not goals. These are values, right? Goals are measurable. So we'll talk about values. These are the things I won't jeopardize in order to achieve my goals. So in order to be a great dad, I also need to be a great husband. I need to be emotionally intelligent. I need to communicate well. We need to do things as a family. I need to be productive and meaningful work, right? Here's my job, right? I need to have a career I believe in, which I do. I need to be efficient. I need to stop work at the right hour, which I fail at all the time, right? And so when I'm reconciling with my time, what am I going to do for my next, my next hour or whatever, right? I've got that be a great dad as my context for when I fail at getting out of work on time. It says as an example. I need to support the community. This is my community. This is my family's community, right? I need to give back to it. It's giving to us. So I need to volunteer. I need to shape culture. I need to help people build connections to each other, to the community. Shop local. We happen to love things that are homemade. We cook, we garden, we build stuff. We're joyful and creating. We do these things as a family. And then I need to do whatever I can to live forever, right? I need to eat healthy. I need to exercise, right? I was an old dad. I was 38 when I became a father, so I'm going to be an old grandfather, right? I'd like to be a grandfather for my children for a long time. So we'll talk about that goal in particular, because it's just so easy to measure and easy to understand. I'll talk about fitness. But first I'm going to talk about these dimensions of your life. So I actually want you to write these down. There's going to be 6 of them. Write them down, because when we get into breakout sections, you're going to use these throughout the exercises. So 6 dimensions of life: fitness, financial, relationships, mindset, career, and family. So I've seen this concept around quite a bit, and these are the 6 that resonate with me. I've seen 7, I've seen 10. These are the 6 that resonate with me. So the idea is you brainstorm goals in each one of these areas, right? Trying to build goals in a round way. Okay, so let's talk about what makes a good goal. First of all, it's got to move you towards your why, right? So when something comes up, you've got this why. You can analyze them together. You can say, all right, something came up. This looks cool. Does it help me towards my why? The answer is yes. You're like, cool, I'm going to do it. The answer is no. You can still say, all right, is my why still correct? Is this still the right context that I'm using? And because you can always change your why, right? So if that answer becomes, I need to change my context, then maybe this is the right thing to pursue, right? Then that's a way that you can kind of use these things. But anyhow, your goal needs to move you towards your why. It certainly can't defeat it, right? It certainly can't be contrary. And then it needs to be smart, right? You've seen this before. This is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So I'm going to show you fitness goals, and I'll show you kind of how these break up and how they're smart. So one of the things I do is I track my sleep. I feel best when I get between 7 and 8 hours. Don't always get it. But I track it on my Fitbit, and I mark it down in my bullet journal. I'll show you what a bullet journal is in a couple of slides. So by tracking this every day in my bullet journal, I get a quick inventory of what I've been doing. I can compare it to how I'm feeling, and I make adjustments as I need to. So that's a thing. I want to move every day. I just feel better when I do. I found for years, right, I've been answering on the doctor's questionnaire that I'm very active. And then I got a Fitbit 5 years ago. And I realized I was actually thinking of my 20s when I'd spend like 4 hours in the gym 5 days a week. I just wasn't doing that very much anymore. So Fitbit woke me up to that, and I started running again, and that's been really good. And then running started getting a little bit painful, although I've run 3 half marathons today, 2 with Allison Mead. But running started getting a little painful, and so I got a bike. I was inspired by some friends of mine, including James Coopernick, who's on the phone today, and some others. So now I've set a goal in 2021. I'm going to bike 4,000 miles. I got a Ferrari of a bike. I've made kind of a large investment here. So I want to see how far I can do it. I've never ridden a bike 4,000 miles before. This is an audacious goal. I probably don't have 4,000 miles in my life, but I want to do it in 2021. So I'm going to break this down a bit throughout the year into smaller goals. I'm going to ride my bike 1,000 miles in the first quarter of the year. If I ride my bike 1,000 miles in each quarter, I'll have 4,000 miles, right? That's about 80 miles a week. It should take me about 4 to 5 hours. If I can get faster, I can do it faster, right? So that's a thing I can do. And I like to compete in 5 races. One of the things I love about fitness is it's not necessarily about what you can do. It's what you can't do yet, or what you can do today that you couldn't do yesterday. So racing is a great way to kind of find your limits, so you can kind of push them. It's nothing like having people just fly away from you to motivate you. Okay, so we're going to track this goal a little bit through the way I have my system. So I've talked a little bit about a bullet journal. When I say that, I'm referring to these techniques developed by Ryder Carroll. You can see a lot on Pinterest and other places. I think his book is a very useful foundation. When you, at the end of this chat, we'll send you a survey. When you fill out the survey, we're going to send you a little handout, and it'll include like a link to the book and a link to this video, which is 5 minutes long, which I think is quite good. I recommend reading the book before you start journaling, but I've recommended journaling to many people who haven't read the book and they've done just fine. So I needed it. So I'm going to show you my bullet journal. Here's mine. Bullet journal is a functional thing, okay? So when your 1-year-old draws on it, that's okay. You don't have to start over. So these are my 2021 goals, and you can see I've got goals in fitness, wealth, which is finance, relationships, mindset, career, and family. So I've kind of laid out my goals here. You can see them for the world to see. And then I've got a page that kind of lays out my quarterly goals. Now this is a page I'll only look at monthly, right? So at the end of the month, I'll kind of roll things up and see how I'm doing and see what kind of adjustments I need to make. So there's a couple goals here that I'll look at here. So we'll talk about the fitness, which you've already talked about. And then in mindset here, I want to read 50 books this year. So I think I read 33 in 2020. I've never written 50 books in a year either. But that's my goal this year. And so in order to do that, I need to read about an hour a day. So it's something I'll track and something I'll watch. So here's kind of the last piece of the bullet journal for me. This is my monthly page. There are daily pages, but we don't get into that. So on the left is the calendar. You can see this is January 2021. I actually took this picture about an hour ago. So this is updated to today. So you can see January 1st to January 31st. Starts on a Friday and ends on a Sunday. So here's my miles. Here's where I'm at. I've ridden 80 miles so far. I'm pretty much on track. I was hoping to ride today. I won't ride today. I will ride tomorrow. Here's the books I'm on. I finished a book so far this year. I've got 2 going right now. I usually have a couple books going. One that's like a kind of a businessy book that I can read during the day. If I read it at night, I'm going to have problems. So I usually read fiction, before I go to bed. So I'm reading iRobot right now, which is wonderful. Date night. Love is a feeling. Love is also a verb. So we got to make sure we have our date night. So we've just decided what our date night's going to be for this month. We're going to watch Museum Town, which is directed by Jennifer Trainer, the executive director at Hancock Shaker Village. It's about the opening of Mass Mocha. Wonderful stuff. So we're excited about that, right? We said, hey, this is something we want to do this month. What are we going to do? And we figured it out this morning and wrote it down. And then here's my daily habit tracker over here. You can see I've got things like read 5 minutes. I want to read 5 minutes in the morning before I get out of bed. Here's the day I didn't do it, right? But I'm on a pretty good streak. That's pretty cool. I want to drink water before I drink coffee. These are just things that I want to do to help me feel better. Right? I gotta brush my teeth. Love is a verb. I want to hug my kids and hug my wife and know that I did it. I want to get my kid on time to school. I want to build my plan for the day. I want to move, right? This is a binary thing. Sometimes it's riding my bike 40 miles. Sometimes it's walking around the block. See, I've already failed twice this year, but I've made intentional choices based on these goals. I've read an hour every day so far. That's cool. I've spent family time every day so far. And now it's like 3 days I did not get 7 hours of sleep. But in each one of those cases, I was making an intentional goal, an intentional choice on what I was going to sacrifice that day. Right? You can't hit all of these things. And we'll talk about that in a couple slides, this concept of sacrificing, understanding what you're going to sacrifice when. So speaking of sacrifice, here's my results in February 2020. This is my habit tracker. It looked a little bit different at the time. You can see there's not a lot of stuff colored in here. How did this roll up? I was fit 10 out of 29 days, including an 8-day run streak here. That's my best. Allison's on like 375 or something like that. 375 days in a row. She's run a mile. She's quite a goal tracker, and I learn a lot from her. I ran 8 days in February together. So I wasn't doing too well in February. I only read 16 out of 29 days. I got a goal of 100%. My daughter was only on time to school 63% of the time. Now, I didn't cause all that, right? She was sick. There was a lot of stuff that was going on in February. But by tracking this, I can kind of step back and say, what changes do I need to make? I slept 7 hours, 10 out of 29 days. That was pretty low. I'm showing this because on the next slide, I'm going to show you a way to kind of figure out how to get back in balance. And I call this the self-assessment. This is the wheel of life. All right, so here's a tool. Very simple. You draw a circle. You break it up into pieces of pie. And if you tie those pieces of pie into the 6 dimensions of your life, right? And then spend 1 minute filling them in very, very quickly. How do I feel in these areas? Then you can spend about 15 minutes reflecting and say, what do I need to change? So if you're scrutinizing this wheel of life right now and the dimensions in here, I was not using the dimensions the last time I actually used this, right? So I've got community, spiritual, health, right? So I'm actually going to use the 6 dimensions that we showed on slide 4. So I believe, I'll say again, I believe most of the talk about a balanced life is mythical and actually unattainable, right? When you make a choice to spend your time on one thing, you're sacrificing another thing. When I'm at work, I'm sacrificing family time. When I'm with my family, I'm not improving my career. When I'm reading, I'm not sleeping. When I'm sleeping, I'm not riding my bike, right? So I'm setting audacious goals for myself. You've seen them. I've never ridden a bike 4,000 miles. I've never read 50 books in a year. These are all audacious. The thing I'm looking for is a fulfilling life. I want to be a great dad. Now, the subtlety here is not to strive for balance every day, but not to go unbalanced in any one area for too long, right? That is the crux. Don't go unbalanced in any one area for too long. Don't sacrifice something for too long. So those monthly pages help me understand if I've been sacrificing a particular area too long. And when I do this, I can find additional things, this little wheel. This is one of the tools that we'll send you. There's a quick little article here on Medium that talks about how to build a circle of life or wheel of life that you can bring into your bullet journal technique. Okay, so here's what I did in 2020. Right, always improve. When I read, I improve myself in a lot of ways. I improve my self-awareness. I improve myself as a husband, as a father, as a son, as an uncle, all the things I am, as an engineer, as a program manager, and as a leader. Right. So I wanted to read 50 books in 2020. I didn't, but I read 33. That's more than I would have read if I set a goal of 30. Right, so it's pretty cool. So I track this in Goodreads. Just another tool to kind of track things. There's a lot of great apps out there. Yeah, so I hope I read 50 in 2021. I'm certainly on track. I think I'm going to have a heavy reading January. Here's my fitness roll-up from 2020. Did a lot of biking. Actually, here's Allison here after we ran a half marathon. That was a lot of fun. Here's my Ferrari of a bike here. This is riding on Mount Greylock, and we had just a lot of really, really wonderful experiences on Greylock this year. I think this day we saw an incredible sunset. We got to the summit after dark, and it was during the Great Conjunction when Jupiter and Saturn were very, very close in the sky. Just phenomenal. We do things as a family. Here's my 4-year-old who's riding her bike. My wife is riding her bike. We're having a lot of fun. Here's a little bit of stuff from Strava, right? So Strava helps me roll up my goals. Strava tells me that. And so I can see in February here that I wasn't moving, right? This is just showing the months and the time that I spent according to Strava. February wasn't moving last year, right? You saw what that bullet journal looked like, and I reinvigorated my focus on fitness, right? I said this thing was important to me, and I wasn't really following through on that commitment I had made to myself and the commitment I made to my daughters, really, right? So we'll probably go on a vacation this year if it's kind of safe to do, and it'll be a biking vacation, something like Nantucket or something like that. Nantucket's great because you can bike to the beach and walk to the restaurants. You don't need a car. So I think we might do something like that, just an example of how these things all play together. And just a little glimpse of family time, which is prevalent, right? We do everything together. These are my daughters making pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving on a little learning tower that I built so that they could cook with us. And this is my 4-year-old Violet showing my 1-year-old Alice Masmoka. This is the room where Violet took her first steps. Pretty special to me. We do everything as a family. Okay, so just a little recap here, right? This is about finding your why, right? I don't really talk about how you do that, but we're going to give you one of those tools. There's a nice vision board exercise actually from Forbes that can help you find your why if you don't know what it is yet, right? It's important. That's the context you use to set all your goals underneath. Then you set SMART goals in the 6 dimensions of your life. Break them down into smaller time horizons, measure those in a bullet journal or habit tracking apps or otherwise. There's lots of ways to do it. And then reflect. Use the wheel of life. Make adjustments when you need to. Okay, so let's talk here. We're going to move into some breakout sessions.
Wait, before we do that, Evan, I want us to do the poll questions, right? We want to make sure everyone's engaged, make sure everyone is understanding everything that we're talking about. So Khaled is going to launch some poll questions. Did you successfully achieve your 2020 goals? I'm going to quickly answer. I think Khaled, you can show the next screen.
Yep. Okay. So here are the results.
Oh, wow. So majority of people did, but it's pretty much 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 2020 threw us for a loop, didn't it? Next question here.
All right.
Have you set 2021 goals for your career? I'm curious what this one says.
All right.
Majority did, but it's almost 50-50 again. Hopefully with this, wheel of life and what we're going to talk about next, we can help you strategize what goals you can potentially set not only for your career, but also just throughout your life. Get them in. Wow, almost 50-50 again. Wow. So seems like everyone has components of their life that they feel like they're probably neglecting and probably need to focus on in addition to their career. So what we're going to do is we're going to break into breakout groups. We're going to have moderators as part of those groups. It's going to be Either you have myself or Khaled, Aaliyah, Crystal, Scott Smith, or Dan, who are going to essentially moderate you through these three questions. We want you to be honest and be vulnerable and talk about some of the things that you feel like you can improve on, not just from a professional standpoint, but from other aspects within your life. Hopefully, you had some really great breakout sessions, some really great conversations. I know our group did, reflecting on the Wheel of Life or the bullet journal. I'm curious to, to hear what other people, discuss. What were some revelations? Anyone, feel free to unmute, and we'll and then I'll address accordingly. Is there anyone in Aaliyah's group that may want to kind of chime in here?
Yes, I will. So, based on, what we heard, the dimension of, what dimension rates the highest, I believe it was Michelle who said career, her career rates the highest. And Allison said it's almost three things. It's career, fitness, and family, because everybody's in one place. And so, her gym is in her office and the kids are at home. So everything is rating the highest. And Jonathan said mindset and how he processes things and applies himself to everything. And so he actually is coming from a place where he needed to take a break. So he rated himself as mindset. And for me, it was health and family. I felt like, especially after last year, it's about looking after, people that are around you or surrounding you. And you want to make sure you're taking care of not just yourself, but the community, even if they're not related to you. What dimensions do we think rate the lowest? So Jonathan felt like financial rated the lowest. He also felt like it tends to be more of a vanity metric, and it's just more so the least utilized. It wasn't like he didn't find that it wasn't important, just excuse me, the least utilized. Allison felt like, because she was in mindset is the least, she felt like she was in survival mode, and she felt like she wasn't necessarily doing a lot of growth. It felt like she needed to get through the day instead of leveling up. And so, actually, if anybody, obviously we all made it to 2021, I can completely understand the need to, focus on getting through the day by day. And Michelle felt like mindset as well, because she likes to plan things. She likes to plan things out. And she felt like she couldn't grow as well because, obviously, with everything going on. And then the last question was, what actions might you take to create more balance? And Allison felt to intentionally do more things to help with growing. So whether that's relationships, career, and everything, to educate herself in areas that she might not be educated in. Jonathan felt like thinking of resolutions as a singular thing and take small digestible goals. And Michelle felt like mindset was most important for her, mixing it up. And because, again, like she said, it's difficult because she likes to plan things. So just mindset going into this year.
Awesome. Evan, do you have any comments on that? I have a couple.
Yeah, well, I think, I'm kind of working in the chat a little bit here. I think career is such a common one to kind of block out the sun, right? It demands so much of our time. Usually we're in a different place when we do it, and so you got to leave to come home, sort of stuff, right? And the thing that I heard, I didn't make it in the room 6, I made it to the other rooms, right? The thing that I heard was consistently like finding balance, right? Finding that balance. And so I'll add this one more thing I was about to put in the chat. I just started using the Wheel of Life at work, because I kind of replicate all these things like in work as well, right? All this tracking, set a goal, figure out quarterly, figure out what you need to do monthly to achieve those things, right? And strategies and stuff. And so like now I'm just started drawing the Wheel of Life, But the pieces of pie, instead of being those 6 dimensions of life, are like my various projects. So like, oh, is there something that like I actually haven't been spending time on that, that maybe I actually need to reinvigorate, or spend some focused, a couple focused hours here and there. And I find it quite useful. I got that tool from Caitlin Pemble, if you know Caitlin. And it's so simple and so applicable in so many ways.
Thank you. I can talk a little bit about what our group discussed. And one thing that Hillary you spoke about was allowing, like when you're talking about mindset, allowing yourself to say it's okay to fail, right? It's okay to set specific goals, but making sure that in order for you to maintain balance within your work life, it's okay to give yourself some kind of leeway. Um, so I find that to be important, as well as we're setting specific goals. And then another thing that we kind of talked about but relayed to a past DLE culture chat was that mindset really focuses on your energy management. So hopefully you're able to make it to be the last DLE culture chat. We spoke about energy management, right? You're going to go through stressors throughout the day, making sure that you find ways to replenish that energy, to replenish a positive mindset, maybe a solution-based thinking, in order for you to progress with your purpose and your why and your goals. So those are two big things. I actually just started doing meditating, and I'm going to write that down actually as part of my mindset goal for the upcoming year. Does anyone want to share? Maybe someone from Colette's group?
Sure, I can go. We didn't pick one person to go for us, but we actually had some good discussions because we had a Syracuse student go orange. I'm also a Syracuse student. I didn't share that then, but it's different from. She's also an athlete, and it's definitely different with COVID and getting started. And I think one of the biggest issues like Evan said, career kind of blocks the sun out of the other dimensions of life. We have focused on that first, and the main theme is like we had never thought about the other parts of our life that we should probably look at. So it was a good discussion to kind of just realize that there are other things that we need to be aware of. And one of the things that came out of it was, well, what if we can schedule time off, like time off for ourselves to watch a TV show or read a book or something and to relax? Because we always just kind of worry about this meeting, we need to work out here, we need to work out there, but we forget about us and our stuff. And I know that sometimes we just need to take a step back. So that was great. I won't repeat what people said already because I think it touched the same things as we discussed, that we need to get started, and the wheel of life is a good place to go through each dimension and write goals for each of them, I think, and then just to hold yourself accountable. The tracking journal Evan showed was pretty good. So yeah, that was pretty nice.
Awesome. Anyone else want to share what they talked about in their group? What were some of did you set a goal for yourself? Were there any revelations that you want to take with you?
Hi, this is Fabio. I think that obviously the career thing, that was a big one because last year we saw so many people getting laid off, or we saw so many restaurants or other sorts of businesses just going completely out of business. So that just kind of hit home the most. And that's why, I think we tended to focus on that piece, like, hey, in order to make sure that we can provide for our families and provide for our future, we do need to be able to focus on that. So that's why a lot of us fell into the, hey, I'm working, I'm actually at work when I'm at home the entire time. So you almost feel like you can pick up the phone call, you can answer the email at 8-10 o'clock, whatever time it is. One of the things that my fiance and I have done is, I've failed some of these times, but we try and take some time to play a board game or a card game, or watch a TV show together, or read together. I mean, we're on the same couch just reading. You know, it's just a nice way to kind of, you know, be in the same, connect in some other way, right? And then going out for walks and trying to make sure that we're being healthy and mindful of the fact that, hey, we're not as outdoors as we used to be, because we kind of get stuck into the, hey, I have to stay indoors so I don't get the virus. You know, it's like uh, we try and pull as much of the, hey, let's go outdoors and let's go for a hike, but we don't do it as often as we want to, though it's something that, you know, trying to balance, you have to decide, all right, you know, what's the thing that I care about most today? And then I think one of the parts of this whole discussion is, hey, it can be the focus of today, but tomorrow let's focus on something else, and let's just try and make that that balance, like Evan was talking about earlier. So anyways, thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Fabio. Yeah, so Evan, do you have anything else that you kind of want to talk about? Or probably jump into your takeaway slides right after.
So I guess I got one go back. I saw Scott in the chat was kind of asking about Goodreads, and are there other things that I use as an example just to track my habits. So I use Goodreads to track my books. Gives a nice roll up at the end of the year. It's kind of cool. And also what would I like to read. So that's pretty nice. I use Strava to track my fitness, and Strava is really nice. It kind of collects things from other places. Like I went on a walk the other day, track that with Fitbit, and Strava just pulls it in. It's nice. I can look at. I use Fitbit to track my sleep. And so if I go into my monthly page in the bullet journal, and I didn't track, I didn't write down if I slept 7 hours or not, for a while, I can just scroll back through Fitbit and see how I did that week. It's very, very easy. And then I actually, at work, I've been using this for I guess 2 weeks now, but I use Nirvana to track all of my to-dos, all of my projects, all of my to-dos, all my errands. And Nirvana is a fantastic tool. It works, it takes a lot, I spent I don't know, 10 or 12 hours in a class on getting things done, kind of getting that whole thing set up. I spent a lot of time a couple weeks ago getting that stood up, but it's really good. And so, every time I check a box that I accomplished something on a day, it logs it on that day as well. So if I lost track of anything that I didn't do that day, I've got another place there. So that's just kind of my ecosystem. There's there's a lot of great stuff out there though.
And thanks, Evan. I mean, I was really kind of getting, I appreciate the tools piece, but what I was really trying to get to is the accountability. I mean, that for so many folks, you can set these goals, and our group talked about, goals, the range of goals from achievable to audacious, and there's a spectrum in there of, if you're going for an audacious goal, if you don't meet it, does that engender a sense of disappointment, or is that I'm okay that I got 75% of the way there because this goal is so tremendous. I want to change the world. If I only get 75% of the way there, is that okay? So it was really speaking more to accountability. How do you hold yourself accountable, so to speak?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so for me personally, right, if we come back to this concept of sacrificing, right? So every minute you spend doing something, you're sacrificing, some other area, right? When I'm reading, I'm not sleeping. When I'm sleeping, I'm not riding my bike. When with my family, I'm not improving my career. When I'm improving my career, I'm not with my family, right? And so I find that by just having everything in front of me when I make my choices on what I'm going to sacrifice that day, I can't, like, I'm considering all of my goals at once when I do it, right? I'm not going to ride my bike today. I really want to. This morning, I thought I was going to, right? But the couple hours that I spent on work today, I thought it was going to take me an hour. It's going to take me 4, right? So that's okay. It is what it is. I'm going to ride tomorrow, right? Maybe I'll ride for, 2 hours tomorrow instead of 1, right? So, the point is that I feel like I always have all of my goals in front of me at once. And so when I'm sacrificing, I know exactly what I'm not doing, when I sacrifice it. I know exactly the thing that I'm not doing. And so I'm okay with that. I'm at peace. I know I'm working on the right priority.
I think that brings up like something that we just talk about, which is allowing yourself to not to fail, as at a specific piece, but knowing that you're finding equilibrium somewhere else is allowing you to do something else. But this seems like a really great discussion, and hopefully everyone was able to take something out of it, whether it is that you're going to use a bullet journal, or whether you're going to use the wheel, or you're going to, try and dive into one of the reads that we, that Evan kind of spoke about. But we are coming up upon the end of our session. Unfortunately, it was great hearing everything that everyone had to say. But Evan, if you can just go through your final pieces here.
Yeah, so these are the main takeaways for action, right? Find your why, right? And when you complete the poll at the end of this, you'll get some resources that I've compiled. And in there is a workshop that you can follow to find your why as an example. We didn't really talk about that here. We didn't talk about how I arrived at be a great dad, right? That's going to be different for everybody, right? But so there'll be a resource there. And so step 1 is find your why, right? It's the North Star. It's the box you never check, right? That's the thing that you're always striving to in the context for the rest of your goals. And you set those SMART goals, right? In the 6 dimensions of your life, break them down to smaller time horizons, measure them in a bullet journal or have a tracking app or otherwise, and then reflect, use that wheel of life, try to take a step back and understand if you've been sacrificing in one area for too long, and then go make those adjustments. Sometimes you adjust your goals, sometimes you just adjust what you're going to do that day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to pass it on to Linda to kind of close us out here. Linda, are you?
There you go. There you go. Thanks, Evan, for bringing that last slide up. So thank you, everyone who has been in attendance here. This has been a great group, really interactive. That's one of our key ground rules. We want you to interact. We want you to make connections. And what you're seeing on here, as you can see, is we've got many more opportunities for doing that this month, and even an opportunity for getting in some laughs with a comedy night. So everything that you're seeing here, all the programs that you see are really fueled by your feedback, which is why we asked for this, quick poll and giving us your comments. We collect them from community members, alumni, friends. We've got some newcomers on this. All of you will aid us in our continuous improvement and innovation by the comments that you give us. So please just take a few minutes. Nicole's going to be sending you the link to do so after we get off. So very distinctive to the DLE is that we have a force of amazing volunteers who develop and who produce our programs. And the Culture Chat group is one of our extraordinary teams committed to bring programming like this to you. And I just want to recognize them. They volunteer their time. They're generous with their talent. Crystal, Blake, and Cheryl Owen, who you've met, Khaled Roca, and Alea Marrow, all of them have been part of our team of innovating. Please help us keep going with your ideas. I also want to thank you, Evan. Evan began working on this pre-Christmas, through Christmas, and has been giving thought to this presentation every day, because the most important thing we wanted you folks to leave with was actionable tools and advice. And Evan, you can just tell by the comments and the chat that you delivered right on that. Thank you very much. Also, thanks to Nicole. You probably see the name Nicole Lorenz. Nicole's our operations assistant. She'll be the one that's always going to be giving you notification and registration information. So there's some first timers here. And for those of you who are discovering this for the first time, we are a 14-year-old. It's hard to believe. We're teenagers now at the DLE. Premier professional development organization. We're now based in the Berkshires, committed to delivering innovative learning and networking opportunities through resources and programs that are primarily free. And this is to a growing nationwide community. That is the silver lining that COVID gave us, is we have a nationwide connectivity. And this community is supportive, amazingly curious, and incredibly welcoming. So you're now part of it. Last year, we increased programming by 427%. because we went completely virtual. And we're really committed to doing that this year. We've already gotten our advisory board with our goals, set goals for programming, our committees are spun up, and we want to keep all of our memberships free, and pretty much most of our programming is also fee-free. And that's because of something I can do, which is Dulye and Company, my company, really does all the sustained underwriting of the operations. But this is our commitment to keep this going. We want to go into some new areas. We are actually experimenting. So as you see there, I mentioned it, next Friday, and Ali is one of our co-hosts, we are breaking into really new territory with this comedy night. And it's not people from like my street, who I think is funny when I walk down the street, somebody I walk with. But we have 4 comedians who have been on network programming, America's Got Talent, The Colbert Show. We've got a duo that have perfected deep fakes. You've probably been reading about them lately. They actually are legal. We've done a lot of making sure they're legal. That's going to be also part of the night. So please sign up. You'll get a link to the registration. Another way of connecting, but this time over laughs. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your time, your engagement. An hour is a lot to give, and we appreciate it. Stay strong, stay healthy. And the one thing we always say at the DLE is to keep soaring. Thank you for everybody.